Yeah. Good afternoon. Today I'm talking to Jane on the release of her new book. Hiya, Jane. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your book that's out today?
Hello, Donna. Hi, thank you very much for having me and for warming me up with a chat beforehand. So, yes, today I'm releasing my fourth book. It's called Looking for Lucy. Here's a picture. So, Lucy's here with me. It's a standalone psychological thriller with a supernatural twist. So I think if you like authors like Sarah Pinborough or C.J. Tudor that also carry that supernatural theme, then you might like Looking for Lucy. So as I say, it's a standalone book. It is about, I always wanted to write a book about a missing child, but I wanted it to be something different, so it would make it stand out because it's quite a popular genre. So hence my main protagonist is Cindy Martin, and she is a reluctant psychic, and she's brought in to help with the manhunt for the missing heiress, who is little Lucy Valentine. So she goes to Moon Hollow, which is the big, creepy mansion, to stay with the Valentines to help find their daughter. But it takes a sinister turn because Cindy's visions and clairvoyancy enable her to find another Lucy, a different Lucy to the one she's supposed to be looking for. And that was something that nobody had anticipated, least of all Lucy's secretive parents, who refused to tell the truth. So there's a lot of secrets in the book, and there are one or two twists, and so far nobody has guessed the final twist. So I'm hoping it stays that way. But that's a little bit about Lucy and my book.
And did you always want to be a writer?
I always wanted to write, but I didn't necessarily know I wanted to be a writer. That probably doesn't make sense. So my background was in writing for a living. So I worked as a reporter, I worked in marketing, I did copywriting and editing, and wrote the copy for websites and that sort of thing. So when I initially decided I would take the leap, I trained as a screenwriter in London, and I got my diploma, and I had some near successes, but every time it cropped up, it was all about collaboration with other writers, and it just wasn't for me. I really like the idea of working alone and having control, and I didn't want to live in London. I'm a country girl, so I thought, right, if I can't do screenplays, what can I do? And I thought, well, I'll write a novel, but I never knew if I could write a novel, because my mind's here, there, and everywhere, and I didn't think I would settle. So I don't know if that's answered your question, but I certainly feel more like a writer than I used to.
And what made you take the leap and go for it and actually sit down and write a novel?
Do you know, I don't feel like I had a choice. If every writer has a different story, but mine is growing up as a young girl. I was lost in a world of books and in fiction, and would write things down when I was a child. And I think if you feel like that, you just, regardless of whether you have an audience, I would still be writing. If nobody ever saw my book or read my book, there's that creative drive in me that I would still be writing books.
Are you a big reader now?
Yes, I think you can't be one without the other. Of course, I would say I'm a reader first, because I absolutely love reading. And I wish I had more and more time to read. I can't wait till I retire because that's what I'm going to spend all my days doing, drinking a cocktail and reading on the beach. So yeah, of course, I was a little girl, and I just read, all the time. And so I love reading. I tend to read what I like to write. So I do like quite dark, psychological thrillers, anything with a supernatural theme. But I also love all the classics. I did my English literature degree quite late in life, and that was born out of a love of the classics, and I still love those. They're my comfort reads. So I've probably read Pride and Prejudice probably 80 times because it's my go-to comfort. But I also love things like Catherine Cookson. I grew up with Catherine Cookson. Love her books, loved her dearly, always wanted to meet her, and was really sorry that I never did. So yes, I'm a reader, a big reader.
So I guess that's why you chose to write the psychological thrillers, and is because that's your go-to read.
Yeah, it is, but I also feel like I have got something more literary fiction in me, not classic, but more contemporary literary fiction. But I'm not ready yet for that. I'm still honing my craft. But I have got an idea for it, but I don't anticipate that I will be doing that for another few years. I certainly want to finish my my book. I've got another 2 books planned, so I want to commit to those. And maybe one day, if I'm lucky, I'll sit down and write something more of literary fiction.
And before we started recording, you were saying about how busy your job is. So how do you manage to fit in writing around your other responsibilities?
So, we were talking about this before. So I'm a key worker, and I've worked throughout the whole of COVID. And not just worked, because I work within the food industry, it's been manic. And I've had to take on, as a manager, I've had to take on lots of new people and train them up and look after their welfare and the HR side of things. So it has been bonkers. And my husband's the same. He works for the same company. We're co-owners. So we've been working really long hours. But, whenever I've had the time, I will spend that time and sacrifice everything else to write and complete my book and get it out there and promote it. Luckily, my Darren, who you met earlier, my husband, he is a real superhero, and he does the washing, the ironing, he puts the bins out, he does all the housework, he does everything apart from cook, so that I can write. So without him, I probably wouldn't have even finished this book yet.
Wow, that's amazing to have that support, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
Out of your 4 books that you've written so far, which one would you most like to be a character in?
I want to say Looking for Lucy, because I love Moon Hollow, where the story's set. It's such an atmospheric, spooky house. Although there's not that many characters in it, I quite like to be Jane Valentine, because she is terrifying. She's my namesake, but she is really scary. I'm scared of her. But I really like Cindy. She is a flawed female, but she's fun, she's sexy, she's feisty. There's a lot to like about her. She's human, and she's made big mistakes. She also likes a drink, and so do I. And so I'm gonna go Cindy. Yay, girl.
And do you write any of your characters based on people you know?
I don't think so. I might steal bits from time to time, but I don't think I would ever know anyone that well to completely mirror their personality. But definitely I will steal bits and pieces from here and there, and I would never set out to hurt anybody by taking, you know, visible bits of their personality. I think it's really, you have to be responsible as a writer, not to cross the line.
And do you hide any secret jokes or any secret messages in your books that only a few people would understand?
Oh, that's a bit different, isn't it? Oh gosh, it's like the green baize door in Catherine Cook's, isn't it? So I think if you pick it up, there is a theme in this book, and it has really, for me, quite deep metaphors. And all I'll say is it's a bird theme. So I think if you pick it up and see it, then yes, you'll understand that. But I don't think I really do jokes in books. It's, yeah. I don't want people to laugh at my books. I want them to go, ah!
Have you ever dreamt or had nightmares about your characters?
Well, I was telling you earlier, I have sleep problems, and one of those is insomnia, and I have really bad nightmares and dreams. And it's funny because going off on a tangent here, but one of my books is called The Crying Boy, and it's based on actual events about a haunted painting. And we have 2 of them in our house. And my husband is absolutely terrified of them. He wants to get rid of them, but he knows that the curse is if you get rid of the painting, that something bad's going to happen to you. And he often wakes up in a sweat, you know, terrified, because he thinks the Crying Boy painting's after him. But he's just a bit of a baby, if I'm honest.
Which has made me completely forget what I was going to ask you now. I'm totally distracted.
Sorry. You were on a roll there as well.
I know. It doesn't take much to distract me. Anything shiny or anything that makes me laugh.
You want me to do my mad run around the room again?
No, that will make me lose it completely.
Okay, I'll sit here and wait.
What's your worst fear, and would you or have you written about it?
Oh gosh, that's very deep, isn't it? I think my worst fear has to be losing my husband, because he and I are very close. You know, we work together, we live together. Now, I'm not saying that we are perfect, because we are not. You know, I'm not making us out to be perfect, but you know, at the end of the day, we only have each other, and so losing him would be like cutting me in half. And yes, I could write about it. I am going to write about it. I have got a book planned that is about a woman who's lost her husband. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to give anything away, but I plan on using my own real fears and anxiety about losing him and using it for that character.
So, what's your big dream or your biggest goal as a writer?
Oh, I'd love to see one of my books on, you know, on the telly, on Netflix. It's a dream everyone has, you know, I'm not going to deny it. I don't necessarily dream of being a famous person. I would hate to be a famous person. You know, I've got too many skeletons in the closet for that to happen. But yeah, absolutely. Looking for Lucy on screen on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite common answer.
Of course.
And if you were able to spend a day with any author alive or dead, who would you like to spend the day with?
I would like to spend it on the lawns of Mandalay with Rebecca De Mario. Having tea on the lawn. Sorry, Daphne De Mario.
Yeah.
Talking about Rebecca on the lawns of Mandalay, having tea, definitely.
Sounds good. I like the sound of that.
Mrs. Danvers could be serving us the tea.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be making it yourself or whatever, would you? No. Absolutely. Do you have lots of author friends?
I do have a fair few authors friends. So before COVID, obviously, used to go out and about to quite a few events with the publishers and with various book groups in London. So I've met a few in person, but I also have a few sort of more close friends that we just interact, not every day, but certainly today lots. And they're always there to give me a bit of support and vice versa. So we'll be to read for each other. We'll pick each other up on our mistakes and help each other, with different issues. So yeah, I've got lots of author friends. A few that are household names and doing really well, and it's really nice to have them. Because it gives you it inspires you, to, if it can happen to them, it can happen to you. So it's really inspirational to have those people in my life.
And are there any authors that you'd like to meet or that you'd fangirl over if you got the chance to meet them?
Oh, there's loads. Yeah, loads. I mean, who wouldn't want to meet Stephen King? Or even his wife Tabitha. I'd love to. But I'd be so scared of him. He seems like I mean, not because he's famous, but because he just seems like an angry person. But yeah, I'd probably be quite scared of him. But loads. I mean, I've met some really nice authors in person. I'd love to meet. I'd really like to sit down and have a chat to somebody I really admire is CJ Tudor. I really like her books and I really like her style of writing. So I find her quite inspirational. So I'd like to meet her. But just generally, I'm happy to meet any author or reader really. Just to chat and engage. It's just nice.
And do you get much feedback from your readers? You're saying you've got a brilliant art groups, and do you get much more feedback than?
So yeah, I do get feedback, and some of it is really it's just sometimes they just make you cry, because it's a really scary thing, putting your baby out there. You've slogged on it for 2 years. It might have been through editors and publicists and been through beta readers, and it's got to the stage where it's fine, it's okay, it can't be that bad, but when it finally goes out there, it can be terrifying. And so to get some initial feedback saying, oh, I've loved it, I'm halfway through and I can't put it down, it's brilliant, loving the twists, how could you do that to me, Jane? It's and it's it just reassures you that it's you haven't made a mistake. It's fine.
What's your most embarrassing story?
As a writer or just in general?
Just in general. I have a feeling you have a few, so.
Oh my gosh, I've been to some dinner parties. Oh, once, there's been a few drunken moments that I kind of regret, but I won't go into those now. Oh God, I can't think on the spot. A few embarrassing moments. Well, one of them has to be, you know, going out in the park, losing my dog and calling out Heathcliff. You know, Heathcliff, where are you? That's one of the embarrassing moments I feel like I can tell you live on air. The rest, I think I'll keep family tucked away, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I've had all sorts, usually involving alcohol, and usually with the guys involved with nakedness. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying nothing about that.
I mean, you know, sometimes doing this, it's just not a hardship if you know, my days.
Just thought of something, right? Ooh. So I went on a writer's retreat with some very well-known authors, I'll have you know, and we went through so much alcohol in a week that we had to pretend and hide it so that the bin men didn't see how much alcohol. And I won't name names, but there was some embarrassing moments. One of them was me deciding I was Shakira and I could do the Shakira dance. And I think that video is still floating around somewhere on social media. So yeah, that's quite an embarrassing one.
Okay, I know what I'll be doing when I finish this.
Shakira. The hips don't lie, Donna, but the hips are a bit bigger.
Alcohol is such a liar, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never touched the stuff.
No, it's just fizzy water, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. What would those closest to you say your worst habits are?
Messy. I'm not, but they say I am. I'm still not. I'm a perfectionist. Drives people crazy. I drive myself crazy. You know, I try to be kinder to myself, you know, because we're all aware of mental health, and I try and be kind to myself and say, no, it's fine, Jane, you don't have to be perfect, you just need to make progress, you know. But I beat myself up all the time, trying to be Little Miss Perfect. I mean, doesn't everyone hate a Little Miss Perfect? That's me.
Who was your first celebrity crush?
Donny Osmond. Yay! Still is. We want the Osmonds. We want the Osmonds. I still would leave my husband today if Donny wanted to marry me. I used to have a T-shirt with "I am Mrs. Donny Osmond."
I can't remember if my mum is the same. I'm sure she liked one of them. Must be Donny, yeah. I'm sure
Gotta be Donny. Gotta be Donny.
Yeah, I'm sure she liked the Osmonds when she was young. If you were able to travel anywhere in the world, obviously post-COVID, where would you go first?
Well, I'm quite lucky because I have done quite a lot of travelling. That hasn't always been the case. You know, when I was younger, I was a young single mum, really struggling and quite poor at times. So it's only now, you know, in the last 15 years or so that, you know, I've had that luxury to be able to do that. And that's not through book sales, I'll have you know, that's through hard graft. So I have been lucky. I've done a lot of travelling, and there's so many places I want to go. I went to Africa 2 years ago and absolutely fell in love with it. I want to go back, you know, but the world, you know, I don't want to limit myself. I want to go everywhere. I want to see everything. You know, I literally want to go everywhere and see everything. So I can't say specifically. Barbados next year. That's what I'm planning.
Nice. And if you were able to travel back to any period in history, where would you travel back to?
Oh, I'd like to be a Tudor princess. Yeah, I love historical fiction. I love Philippa Gregory. She taught me more about the Tudors than my history teacher ever did. So yeah, I'd quite like to be a princess that doesn't get their head chopped off. That's fine with me.
If you had the chance to go on any TV game show, what would you choose?
Come Dine With Me. Yeah, I love that program. I've been watching that for donkey's years. Love it.
And what are you cooking?
Oh, see, I'm restricted now because I've been a vegetarian for the last so many years. So obviously I can't cook classic meat dishes now. So it would have to be I'd probably do an asparagus and pea risotto. And just give them lots of wine to go with it. And crusty garlic bread. Yeah.
Nice. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you want with you?
Kindle. Suntan lotion. Oh, I'm torn now between saying my husband or a pina colada. It's going to have to be the pina colada. Sorry, Dad.
Your poor hubby. You started off saying how wonderful he is, and now you're going with Donny Osmond and you're not even taken into the desert islands.
Gosh, I'm such a terrible person. But I'm not sorry.
That's the spirit. That's what I like. So are you working on anything at the moment, and what's coming next for you?
So I am working on a project. So I'm hoping it will come out next year. It's still a psychological thriller, but it's more contemporary. So there won't be any supernatural element going through this. I've kind of like synopsisized it, if that's a word, and done a couple of chapters. But kind of like this Looking for Lucy still, taking over my life at the moment. So when this has been put to bed, then I think I'll pick up and be more motivated to get on with that. So I already have book 5 and 6 planned. So I know exactly where I'm going. I'm focused.
Awesome. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you, unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you.
Thank you so much, Donna. It's been so much fun. And I hope we get to meet up in the real world, the real grown-up world, and have a few drinkies together. Oh, and I hope you get to read the book as well. Let me know what you think.
Yes, absolutely. It is on my Kindle, along with millions of other books. But yeah, I will.
Okay. Well, thank you. Love you.
Before we go, do you just want to tell everyone where they can find you and find out more about your book?
Okay. Yeah. So, Looking for Lucy, it's available from today. It's available on Amazon and all good bookshops. So it's also available on paperback, Kindle, and you can download it free on Kindle Unlimited if you're a member of that. So you can also order it from Waterstones or Barnes & Noble, all the usual places. So, if you can, try and buy locally. But I appreciate, we're all Amazon users. But I still love going in a proper bookshop. I'm taking my books, signed copies, into my local bookshop next week, is it? Or the 12th of April. And I can't wait to actually be in a physical bookshop. And I'm really excited. So I'll be dropping them off there.
And where can they find you? Any stalkers out there?
Stalkers are welcome. That's fine. We all have our little things, don't we? So yeah. I've got a website, www.jamiejames.com. You can catch up with me on Facebook or Twitter. I'm not that prevalent on Twitter. I'm mostly a Facebook girl. So I'm open to friendships on there. Just make sure you message me. Let me know, that you're a reader or a writer. don't start it with, hey babe, how are you today? Because you're going to get but yeah, so just make sure you bring wine and Monster Munch.
Okay, noted. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Donna.